Embracing complexity. What's possible when we hold that multiple things can be true abstract, in today's complex business environment? Leaders face numerous paradoxical challenges that defy straightforward solutions. However, research suggests that the ability to embrace complexity and acknowledge multiple, seemingly opposing perspectives is a hallmark of effective 21st-century leadership. This paper explores the concept of complexity leadership, which involves administrative, adaptive, and enabling roles to facilitate dynamic interactions and self-organization across the organization. Through case studies of Intuit, Anthropic, and Starbucks, the paper demonstrates how embracing complexity enables organizations to foster diverse perspectives, drive change through paradox, and overcome industry adversity. By appreciating multiple truths simultaneously, leaders can unlock strategic breakthroughs, innovation, resilient adaptation, and enduring success even in the face of constant disruption. The paper concludes that complexity leadership represents an untapped wellspring of potential for organizations willing to make space for multiple simultaneous truths. In today's complex and fast-paced business environment, leaders are presented with myriad challenges that often seem contradictory or paradoxical in nature. As organizations strive to balance short-term profitability with long-term sustainability, maximize efficiency while cultivating innovation, and scale operations globally with localized responsiveness, leaders are increasingly confronted with dilemmas that defy straightforward solutions. However, research reveals that the ability to embrace complexity, to acknowledge that multiple, seemingly opposing perspectives can simultaneously ring true, is a hallmark of effective leadership in the 21st century. By learning to appreciate complexity and nuance over simplicity, leaders open themselves up to innovative solutions, strategic breakthroughs, and enduring success that was previously out of reach. Today, we will explore existing research on complexity leadership and explore its practical application in real-world organizations. By appreciating complexity rather than seeking to reduce it, any organization can unleash untapped potential and pave the way for new heights of performance. Defining complexity leadership. To understand what embracing complexity enables, we must first define some key concepts. According to research from the University of Toronto, complexity leadership theory views organizations as complex adaptive systems composed of diverse, interdependent agents continuously adapting to changes within themselves and with each other, rather than operating in a linear, cause-and-effect manner. Complex adaptive systems exhibit unpredictable emergent behavior as internal dynamics interact in nonlinear ways. Ulbn, Marion, and McKelvey, 2007. In practice, this means leadership arises from dynamic interactions across all levels of the organization, not just from actions taken by those in formal leadership roles. Knowledge and influence are widely distributed, as employees throughout the system adapt and shape one another through their interconnected relationships. Lichtenstein et al. 2006. Leaders do not exert control so much as facilitate conditions whereby these dynamic interactions and resulting self-organization can flourish. This type of leadership is defined by an ability to appreciate and leverage uncertainty, ambiguity, and paradox rather than seeking primarily to control or eliminate them. Specifically, complexity leadership involves three core roles. Ulbn et al. 2007. Administrative leadership focuses on planning, coordination, and resource allocation to support day-to-day organizational functioning. Adaptive leadership promotes experimentation, learning, and innovation through dynamic interactions and relationships across diverse organizational agents. Enabling leadership facilitates administrative and adaptive functions by cultivating enabling conditions and removing barriers to complex dynamics and emergent change. Together, these three roles create an organizational context conducive to embracing rather than reducing complexity, a foundational capability for leadership success in times of uncertainty. Leveraging complexity in practice, fostering diverse perspectives at Intuit. The financial software giant recognized that embracing diverse backgrounds and viewpoints across its global workforce would spark new levels of innovation. However, some managers resisted incorporating voices different than their own. To overcome this, Intuit instituted explicit policies promoting inclusion and adopted quantitative metrics tracking diversity in hiring. Promotions and recognition, Snyder, 2015. Just as importantly, the CEO role-modeled complexity leadership by actively soliciting input from those with opposing views and highlighting mistakes as learning opportunities. This created psychological safety for employees of all backgrounds to fully contribute their ideas. As diverse perspectives were incorporated and integrated, previously unseen strategic opportunities emerged. For example, drawing on a diversity of cultural expertise allowed Intuit to adapt their products more appropriately for international expansion. Respecting myriad truths across a globally diverse workforce unlocked new wells of creativity and competitive advantage. Driving change through paradox at Anthropic. When AI safety startup Anthropic sought to scale its social impact, it faced the paradox of wanting rapid growth while maintaining a careful, deliberate culture. Founder Dario Amodi embraced this complexity by acknowledging both goals as valid yet conflicting priorities. Rather than resolution, he fostered ongoing exploration of the paradox through institutional mechanisms like a research discussion group bringing contrasting viewpoints to the table each week. Williams, 2021. This created space for innovative solutions to organically emerge, such as starting small experimental projects to test assumptions safely before larger commitments. Accepting the paradox as an inherent part of the change journey rather than something to be solved allowed for agile adaptation to unforeseen challenges along the scaling path. By embracing apparent contradictions, Anthropic cultivated an environment where anything was open for discussion and new possibilities could take shape. Their efforts to safely maximize positive AI impact were greatly amplified through a complexity-appreciative approach. Overcoming industry adversity at Starbucks. When the 2008 financial crisis struck global markets, Starbucks faced falling revenues, store closures, and an existential crisis in the quick-service coffee space. However, complexity leadership helped to turn things around. Rather than hastily cutting costs through layoffs or stores, CEO Howard Schultz fostered a culture where all bets were off in terms of considering new strategic possibilities. Starbucks, 2019. Complexity was embraced through establishing cross-functional, problem-cracking teams mixing frontline staff and executives to generate fresh solutions unconstrained by existing paradigms. Accepting that no single truth existed regarding how to adapt helped surface game-changing ideas like mobile payment apps, loyalty programs, and healthier drink options. Starbucks welcomed diverse, even competing proposals and tested multiple approaches in parallel through localized experiments. Where simplicity might have pointed to definitive answers, complexity pointed to new questions and possibilities. Leveraging this complexity leadership mindset empowered Starbucks to dynamically transform their business model and emerge from the downturn stronger than before by respecting myriad truths simultaneously. Conclusion: embracing complexity represents an untapped wellspring of leadership potential in today's paradoxical business climate. Rather than seeking simple solutions, effective leaders cultivate organizational conditions where diverse viewpoints can thrive. Ambiguities can be leveraged rather than eliminated. An emergent change is an accepted inevitability. By appreciating multiple truths simultaneously, organizations open themselves to strategic breakthroughs, innovation unlocking, resilient adaptation, and enduring success. Complexity leadership enables new levels of inclusion, agile transformation, problem-solving breakthroughs, and competitive differentiation. Any business willing to hold multiple perspectives as valid even when seemingly contradictory, can surmount tremendous challenges and pave the way for previously unimagined achievements. In an era of constant disruption, complexity leadership offers a framework well-suited for thriving amid uncertainty. With openness to possibilities rather than clear-cut answers. Embracing complexity truly represents what's possible for organizational performance when we make space for multiple simultaneous truths.